Okay, welcome to episode 17 of the Subplay series. My name is Daz Tactic. Welcome to the channel. Hope you've been enjoying the series. I thought what I might do is just go through a few of the other little tweaks that you can make to the game itself. Just to sort of, like, it's a game that you'll be wanting to chop and change things. For example, I've got so many civilian ships all over the place, I'm now losing track of where my other important ships are. So I don't really need to be looking at all of these civilian ships. So let's use that as an example, but let's go through a lot of the information or a lot of the things you can actually do in the game. If we go across to the game menu, we can then open up the settings back and through here. And these are really quite detailed. So you've got sort of things like your scroll speed, your zoom speed, etc. You've got mouse click drag function, so moves main view or select ship in main view. I love this because I haven't seen this actually before. It's because I know this is something I've been asking for. I would prefer to be using the WASD keys to move around, so I'm going to turn that one on. I've been control click and dragging. So yeah, mouse click drag function, select ships in main view. That's exactly what I've actually. I wish I had seen that earlier. It's sort of funny, isn't it? I haven't had a look in here. I've been skimming to the things that I need to look at. Screen edge panning on. I'll leave that on. Auto move view to selected diplomatic faction. Auto move view. Why not? Why not? Let's do that as well. Research project hover detail. So first show project summary, then full detail after brief pause. What else can we do there? So that's what we've got at the moment. First show then full detail after longer pause, or immediately show full project detail. I'll just leave it on with the one that we've got it on. I'm not really noticing that one with anything really through there. Rotate camera mouse buttons, similar to what we had up through here. Don't know why they're separated. They should be sort of together. This is middle. So this is middle mouse button. Is what I'm used to with games, is to just click the middle mouse button and rotate. But it used to be the right button. So I'm glad that they've sort of changed that one back. And these are little things that I found funny with the user interface or the user experience. So this is good that these have been done. Auto save, yes, at 5 minutes. Now it's actually 5 minutes of game time. It's actually not 5 minutes of. So if I've got it on paused, it won't just like the old Age of Wonders. The old Distant Worlds used to actually save. Like if it was set to 20 minutes, it would wait for 20 minutes of real time and then save. And even if you had the game on pause doing different things, it would still do that. Whereas this one tends to now just wait until you've actually had 5 minutes of game time and then actually do it, which is really cool. I don't know if it does it if you've got the game speeded up. That would be interesting to sort of find out. But you don't even notice it saving. But you do sort of see the list. And if you've got it on pause for a length of time, there's not very many auto saves that have been made. Reset tours, you can re-enable the tours. They're really quite cool. There's so many of them. You can also suppress pop-up messages. So here we go. I've actually got a key that's been put in at this stage. So suppress pop-up messages, when turned on, prevents many types of blocking pop-up messages from appearing. This can be useful if you're wanting the game to just run ahead for an extended period. Like, if you wanted to just sort of have the game run for 20 years and you sort of go off and have your dinner or whatever else you might want to do, then you can sort of suppress the pop-up messages. It does give you a hint there about other things you need to suppress as well. And so you can actually go and turn that on. You can go back and do the automation to full automation, and you should be set to just sort of let things sort of run forward and then come back and set it up whichever way you actually want that one to go. Full screen, of course, is what I'm using. User interface is just standard. This is actually something where you do actually have very small, standard, and large. So depending on your screen size, you do actually have like a range of different sorts of things you can set this one up to, depending on how you want that to look. Now, I'm recording at 1080p. My computer is actually bigger than that, like it's a 1440, so it's actually a fair bit bigger, and so I'm finding standard to be very, very good on the larger screen as well, but I'm also liking it on the 1080p. I'm just using it on 1080p for the recording, just so you can sort of read things a bit more clearly. But none of you have really, at the time of recording, none of you have actually really mentioned much about the small user interface, which I know some of the other streamers have experienced that. They may be maybe playing on a larger format so that the size does look smaller if you then re-look it back on 1080p. But anyway, that seems to all be working fine. I'm not going to make it any bigger than what it is. That's all good. You also have these different color schemes that you can sort of bring in as well. Like, so if you don't like, and I quite like the basic, the Eclipse default color scheme, but you do actually have a few other ones. I turned them on when they first came in, like this was a few months ago now in the beta, and really I've just find the default is fine, so I'm sort of happy enough with that one there. This is good. I'm glad that they've added this one in. There's pretty extreme bloom effects with lens flares when there's an explosion or wherever there's a bright light, and I sort of found it annoying, like it would sort of go right across the screen. I'm glad that they've actually put this one in. I've left it down very, very minor, and actually I don't mind where it is now. I'm not really noticing it everywhere, whereas when it was back up to 100%, it was really extreme. Like it was just absolutely every little thing that happened. There was lens flares going all over the place. Sound, I've just got the music down a little bit, simply because of the recordings. I tend to find that I do that anyway. If I've got any problems with music, I will then turn it right down. But this music has been, composed for the game, which is good. Ship and symbol base scales. We're sort of looking at the different dots. The dots all mean different things on the screen underneath there. Like a perfectly round dot means a civilian ship, as an example. And so the others have then got other little sort of symbols that then mean things. Like a triangle means it's a combat ship, a military ship. And so you can sort of do these things in through here with the scale. You can actually reduce or increase the scale depending on your what you want to be seeing, which I think again is really cool. They've got all these sort of little optimizations in the actual game itself. You then have things like showing fleets, yes or no. Of course, you probably do want to keep these sorts of things on. Spaceports, other bases. Yeah, why not? I think that these are useful. Exploration ships, colony ships, so these are the sorts of things I do want to keep on, even the construction ships. But civilian ships, if you get too many of the circles everywhere, you can just turn them off. So let's just turn them off. At this point in the game, we now have a lot of infrastructure moving around the place. It's not as if we have to sort of look for anything too tricky, so I think we'll just turn that off for now. This can be useful to sort of see where your pathing is. I'll turn it off and then maybe turn it back on so you can see the difference. Show unknown ships, yes or no. I think that's important to see that one. Enemy fleets, of course, keep them on. Enemy military ships. It's just great that you can do all this stuff. So let's just apply that. And so now we have a very, very clean interface, like where there's these circular ships that we're sort of seeing through here will actually just be fuel barges. There's actually a little cross across these. You probably don't sort of see it much. There's a lot of fuel tankers moving around. So we can now start to see the different sorts of ships. You probably don't see that in there, but these are all like this is like a mining station. So the mining ships tend to have like this cross on them. This one over here is, what is that one? Same part of the Fifth Fleet, but it's actually not. It's whatever. What is that? Fuel barge, yeah. So it's just a fuel barge sort of moving around. Yeah, it is cool. Hang on, I'll just shift click. So I can now be able to select ships by doing this and actually pick them up. And because I can't see the other ships, like actually I am picking up the civilian ships. I wonder if that should do that. That's sort of funny. Sort of interesting that they can do that one. It normally just picks up the military ships. Oh, it is actually. Oh no, it is picking up all the freighters as well. Anyway, I'm glad that that is now working that way. That is going to ultimately be better, but it shouldn't pick up. If you filtered it this way, it should actually turn that off. I'll try to remember to pass that on. Okay, so we've got now the Harkonish and the Boscara Hive have made peace. So I was just trying to let them run at it between themselves. So I think we'll get ready to attack fairly soon. Okay, so anyway, that was just that part of the infrastructure. If I go back and turn this one back on under settings and then just scroll back down again to the civilian ships, if we turn that one on, let's just ramp this one right up to say 2 times and apply. We now have really big circles. I'll just go back to settings. And if we go down, what can we go down to? Half, apply, tiny, which is too small. I like it at 1. To be honest, I do like it at 1. So, but you do have such finesse that you can actually now sort of do with everything. All right, and if I leave the civilian ships on, I'm not worried about them. Like I'm just keeping track of fleets. That's really all I'm really worried about. And so you'll sort of see that there's like a line, and I find this can be useful at certain times in the game just to sort of see, what's actually happening. We've got a monitoring station built in through here, and we're now monitoring all of this. Like if we turn on the long-range scanners, we now extend out into this range. And so we are sort of seeing all sorts of ships moving around. Now, some of them we're not identifying, but then we do identify them. So there is movement, for example, between this location here and the capital. And so, yeah, as I say, it is just interesting the way it sort of is working. I'll just turn the long-range scanners off. Other things you can do is you can turn on ship travel vectors to sort of see what's going on. So you can actually go ship travel vectors for selected ship only. So if I then select a particular ship, actually there's a mining station. If I select that ship, it's going that way. There we go. It's just going across. This is it's going off to build something. So we can sort of do that one. I can do it for state ships. So all of my military ships, already, like not just military ships, but all of the fuel ships, the constructors, the whole lot. That's then sort of being shown all the time where they're trying to sort of move around. Now that may be useful in the early game. In fact, it probably would be to just sort of see what's going on. You can then also turn this one to just have civilian ships. So they're going absolutely everywhere with what their destinations are. It won't show the path that they go on so much as just the destination of what they're choosing to do, because quite often the ships will. I don't think it will show the paths. Oh, maybe it is, because this one's coming back. It's a mining ship that is going to bounce past there and then go back into the Brevist system. If we go across to exploration ships, I can then sort of just see the exploration ships and where they're actually heading off to and what they're going to be doing. So there should be a few up this way. Yeah, there's a few around. You then have military ships, so we just all the military ships and where they're actually moving off to, what they're up to. And then finally, all ships, which is really overkill. That's like a city traffic sort of layout, isn't it? Anyway, we don't need to see all that stuff. I'll just go with selected ship only. That is quite useful to actually just have the selected ship, so you can sort of see that one turned on. I've also now turned off, for example, the various location badges. I can go back to basic and just turn on the basic stuff, but I do find that this does hide information. So I'm actually at the moment in the game actually getting more information or getting useful information from just having it turned off. But this one does sort of show you where you do have your refueling centres, and I do want to have them across this front line. This is important to me. So that's it. That's just another sort of aspect about it. But I'll turn them off for now. You can go to detailed. Like at the moment, we have like a quick summary of the things. Like for example, in our home system, it's just listing like five the five most common that you sort of have in through there. But if I go to detailed and click on that, I then get to see every single resource. Now, I've got better ways of actually locating resources and doing this one. So I wish that I could actually control what's actually shown in this a little bit, just so it wasn't quite as big. But anyway, I'll just turn it off for now because I can still hover over these and get the basic information anyway from what's actually happening there, plus any sort of fleet information that sort of shows up as well. So the different things also when we go through this, we've got the resource flow. Oops, hang on. If I just go across to, I think I'm now getting used to using the other setting. I might just quickly go to settings and turn that one back. So rotate camera and mouse click drag moves main view. I might just go back that way because I just was doing that, wanting to do this, and I am now used to that. So it's funny because I really wanted the other one initially, but now I'm happy enough to do that one. I can control click and drag and still do the same thing, and I'm now used to doing that in the game. So there's the options of pressing control, drag, and then get the option to then do what you need to do. Right mouse button does nothing at this stage, so in the middle mouse button will then sort of rotate around. Shift E will then sort of rotate, and Shift Q will rotate, or I can just use the Q and E keys to just do a rotation. But to get it facing galactic north, which is what I want, mainly just for the recording. I don't need to have it that way all the time, but I just want to have a context for when you guys are looking at this, that you sort of are just familiar with the way it does look. But it's really nice the way it sort of does work with everything. So what we do actually then have, and it's not like it's I think it's working as designed, but I don't know if it's showing all the stuff that we actually want to have. Just return to the game here for a second. If I go up to any of these and start to click on things, I'm going to get more information. Let's just move across to here. So if I go across to to this particular screen, and we won't see anything really sort of showing up in any of these as such, with the various bits and pieces, it's just not going to really sort of work all that much. so policy settings. Actually, I should show you the policy settings. Let's just do that while we're on a bit of a roll here. So we saw there before that we can start to suppress the pop-up messages. I can, if I want it to sort of run forward, is to go to these preset configurations and move this one down to like rule in absence full. That will then allow me to, it'll just make all the decisions that I want for any length of time. I can just let it run overnight and sort of see what happens by the time, like if I wake up in the morning and think, okay, well, what's happened in the game? Like that way it won't get caught at a pop-up message. So by having that on, plus that setting that we saw in there before, and then just double checking that the settings were correct, and that will sort of be okay. I wish you could save these, actually. It's sort of one of these things. I should try to remember all of these different little points, because it would be cool to be able to save what's going on here. Anyway, it's default will now, I'm almost working on default at this point in time. I just wanted to sort of play with the default into here. I'll probably go to more of a, not expert, but somewhere in between. But God, I'd love to be able to save these. It would be really, really good. I don't think you can. It would be great if you could actually have your own custom, like save your custom ones. Because what I've been doing is you've got now different ways. For example, with colonization, you've got settings to go fully automated, where they will just go and make their own decisions and just send the colony ships out to do whatever you want. You've got then suggest and execute, where they will make suggestions, but the default is that they will just do it anyway. And then the other one is to suggest, and then you have to commit to it and say yes or no. And then finally just fully manual, where they don't even suggest anything. So a lot of these will either be like the colonization population policy. I've got that one on by default. I can override that on a planet by planet basis, which is sort of what I've been doing for example, the human planet that's back in through here. Which one is the human one? It's not that one. Is that it? Nope, it's not that one either. I can't remember which planet they're on. That looks like it. Okay, so this is Etiknan. And so this one here, for example, when I have a look at it, I've actually got under the set colony automation, I have turned off the population policy. But by default, across my whole empire, it's turned on. So the population policies there are by default turned on. So a lot of what we see down through here we can override, which again is incredibly good, because it really is. It means that the micromanagement from Distant Worlds universe has been cut down to a degree. I mean, there still is micromanagement to be done, but it's you've got a lot more choice as to how you want to play the game. I won't go through all of the different things, but that sort of thing and I've turned on a few of these things. Like in the early part of the game, I wasn't that keen on having bases constructed automatically because I needed to save resources. I'm now in a point where I'm happy for the default to be build the base. And similarly, repair abandoned ships and bases, yes, just do that automatically. But the defaults would actually move them back into just suggestions. So most of these are pretty much as per the way that the game sort of wants them to go. Again, I can then figure out what I want to do in through here. Yeah, anyway, it just goes on and on and on, including exploration, like what you want to do in through there, colonization again. Now some of these will actually show up the top here as well, and if I click on one of these, it will then change what we see down through this side. But this is a bit more nuanced. Like if we do the automatic colonization, when will it do it? It will do it at 20% suitability, which is pretty much your crossover between it being expensive, like under 20% it's going to be expensive to colonize worlds, and over 20% they're going to come good and actually start to earn you money in the medium term. It does take a fairly long time to actually get that done. To put that into perspective, looking at our colonies at the moment, you can see that we've now got Azrakis, which is our home world, is generating nearly 36,000 income for us. Erefeia, which has got 469 million, is generating $816. But everything else is draining. So everything else is actually draining money from where we are, because it hasn't built up big enough yet to really sort of be sort of working effectively. And this one here, Etiknan, the one we're looking at right now, because it's humans, that's always going to be a bit of a problem with the money. So this is my biggest money drain at the moment, are these new colonies that we're sort of creating, but it's just the way it's sort of, that's all I've got to sort of keep on doing with that one. So let's go back to policies again, the policy settings. You've got tax rates as well, and I'm at the moment I'm keeping these pretty much automated fully because it does a good job of that. And I'll probably, even when I go back and start to play more an expert level, I will probably tweak this so that it actually for most of these things I'll actually just keep them automated because, as I say, like micromanaging stock levels at colonies and bases, I've had to do it a little bit in this game. It's a bit painful, and so it's one of those things that, and I'm doing that because there's a bit of a bug with Caprica, with the resource Caprica, which doesn't actually get added to the list of things that it needs. That will be fixed by launch, I'm sure. And so and then having it fully automated, that way you don't even have to think about it. But of course, for those of you that do like to min-max everything, then I don't even know if you'd be min-maxing, to be honest, with that sort of stuff. But this is, again, it's the same sort of deal that we sort of saw up above with some of these things, but some of these go a little bit further than what we saw. Like the funding levels is referring to these funding levels in through here. I have tweaked these so that we've got sort of like less amounts. I've got colony growth and research running at 50-50 if there's any extra money. So at the moment there's none. We're actually going, when that's in the red, even though we can be doing well in the cash, if that's in the red, it means we're not going to be actually getting as much colony growth or research as we possibly could get. So anyway, that's just part of the policy settings. Construction settings, there's just so much in this. Like when you're going to do stuff like population to build large spaceport, to build medium spaceport, to build a small spaceport. So it's actually, I wish that it would just do it in either millions or billions. Probably millions would really be the ideal there. So really, this one does it at 120 M. It's a bit sort of funny. Minimum distance between spaceports, so that sort of means that it'll be inside other systems. I wish that actually just had, instead of, because that's going to just do it by one, isn't it? Oh no, it's oh no, it is doing it by, anyway. What is it? Oh, that's basically 50,000. I'll leave it there. So anyway, that's that one through there. Priorities, what they're going to sort of, what you want them to do, like what the priorities to build these sorts of things. So you can actually sort of set them. At the moment, they're all just on normal, but you can tweak all of these sorts of things. What the ratio of types of ships that you want to be building, just so much that you can sort of really set this up however you want for the automation. This is a really automated game, I've got to say. Like you can play the whole game. Well, as I said before, you can actually play it where you don't do anything, or you can just play it with one ship, one fleet, whatever you want to do. It's really amazingly good. Militarily, you've got all these different things as well, like the military attacks. It will advise, capture conditions for ships, for bases, enlist military ships, when you're going to do it, how things would sort of then work. It's really just so detailed. It's absolutely mind-blowing. Anyway, it just goes on and on and on. Even the research, whether the research or crash program. Now, I've got the crash program on manual, but I just really have never had enough money to really make use of it. I've crashed a few programs, but not very many. In intelligence missions as well, like whether what you're going to do, what sort of missions you'll allow, so on and so forth. It's interesting. Anyway, that's the policy settings back over through here. So there's a few different places to get those. Actually, one thing I didn't show was I don't really like this Eticnan name in through here. So what I can do is like it used to be that there was a button up in through here where you could plan what you were doing, which we now sort of do across all of the buttons. They all sort of do what the planner used to do. And I will do a full tutorial on how these things now work. I won't do it so much in here. I've been doing it as required, but in this case, we've got like this planet Eticnan. Let's just go and rename it. So I do control it, so I can actually go and click on this one and change the name directly in here. But the other way I can do it, if there's a body that I don't like the name of, like for example, that's it, asteroid belts. That doesn't really count. This one here, Brevist 5. So this is an ice moon, a frozen ice planet. Let's call it Hoth. From Star Wars. So if we just go across into the game menu and then go across to the game editor, I can then go in and click on different things like down through here, and it then brings up what this thing actually has. And I purposely try not to watch too much, but I can add planets, add stars, all the stuff that we used to be able to do back in the editor that was part of the game, including add independent colonies of different sorts. So, add empire colonies, all sorts of things. So I can set up a game directly, different creatures. Now you'll sort of see there we've got Ardalises, the different Gravelexes, and then the Vorticar. I thought I'd be able to, I can remove system, remove colony, remove items if I wanted to. Add ship or base, I can sort of do those. I don't know if we've got the hive. These I don't want to be looking at too much, to be honest, because that will then dictate a lot as to what I am seeing. Anyway, let's just change this one to Hoth. So it's very simple. And if I decide I really want to make this into a monstrously big planet, I can do that one. I can change the quality if I wanted to. So this is where you can do what you used to be able to do within the game itself last time. So this is now called Hoth. If I just leave the editor and just go and click back in again, it's going to be called Hoth. So this is the Brevis system. I don't know if that's going to be, it's still called Brevis 5 down through here. But anyway, the planet itself is now called Hoth. So you can tweak those sorts of things as well as you're sort of playing the game. What else is there? God, we've spent nearly the whole episode just looking at the actual user interface and the different things you can do. Like, for example, if I wanted to sort of see where certain resources are. Now, this is, as I say, not quite working. Like, I know, for example, that there is, I think I've shown this before anyway, I know that this has got, not that one, this one here. I know that this has got Loris fruit. So when I click on that one, Loris fruit, Centavier fluid, sorry, back in through there. Yeah, Loris fruit doesn't grow on these sorts of volcanic planets. Now that should show up if the Loris, and I know the Loris fruit is there. Here we go, abandoned ship encountered. So we'll investigate. Investigate an abandoned destroyer. Now this is actually something that where we were looking at this one. Let's just go and take me to the location. All right, so we've just found ourselves a destroyer out through here. Now, where is that? Back up into there. Interesting. And now there's another one down in here as well. A little escort, the Dark Mutiny. So we've just picked up this ship, which is this particular destroyer. It's also, system maps have been recovered as well from this one. So we've now got more information. We found detailed maps of 4 surrounding systems. So we'll just go and remove that one. Sorry, we'll just pause this while I'm talking about stuff. Yeah, I'll come back to that in just a minute, because that one I'm thinking, it's fairly strong. It's not overly powerful. It's building everything up. This one's a lot weaker. Let's just move this one down to there, just so it can actually sort of move down close. This may be a pirate. This may sort of have like a... Pirates may sort of be inside these things, but anyway, let's just leave that one where that is. And continue on. Actually, one other thing I haven't really spoken about is that we have this one as well. We can go and select like colonies, special bases like starports, and also fleets. So it's a nice little handy way. And as I go closer to a system, like if we go into our home system and start to get closer, you'll see it actually now filters by what's really around through here. Actually, where's our home system? That's our home system there, I think. No, that's Carouse. That's Ed Redamar. That should actually have... I don't know why it's got the small spaceport there, but not our big spaceport. It's there. Anyway, it's got all the different ships in the system. Yes, it's cool the way it does work anyway. It's for whatever reason it's not picking up the medium. Right, now the other thing I was just going to quickly show with this was if you go to things like colonies, it will then highlight the various colonies. If you go to diplomacy, it will then highlight the various diplomatic, the independents, the actual the Boscaran hives, the Harkonish, etc. So you can sort of see very quickly what's going on. This is sort of like it used to work, where you had like a galactic map that would come up and you'd be able to sort of then pick it and then zoom in. But this one you do use the galactic map, and it works very, very well. Even, for example, things like if I go across to colonies and then I have a look at the new colonies, these are all potentially new colonies that I can settle. Now, again, there's nothing out here which is where I would like it to be, but I can sort of look at these and sort of see how they go. We've got colony ships as well. I don't think I've got any on the actual map itself. Planetary facilities. I can see there I've got a couple of facilities back into these locations, and it will then sort of indicate what they actually are and what we've built in these different locations. If they've got, for example, ruins and or buildings that we've actually built, and even artifacts. We haven't actually picked any up in this game, which is a bit of a shame because they're quite cool. But artifacts are new to Distant Worlds 2. I was sort of hoping I would have picked them up by now. Exploration, like what we've explored, like how much of the actual galaxy we know about. And so technically we've actually explored this, and we do have a ship there. If we go across to resources, in fact I can do like known ruins as well, like that will then pick up the ruins, showing them in there. Now this is actually highlighting whether it's been explored or not. I can turn that off and just highlight where the ruins actually are. We can look at abandoned ships. Again, I'll just turn that one off. Hang on, leave that one off. Oh, come on. Abandoned ships over there. That's that abandoned ship that's still actually there. So we can see that one where that is, the Dark Mutiny. It's the only ship that we know about. Again, it's sort of funny that we haven't found other ships. And then finally special locations, and they will then also just highlight if there are any, which there aren't. So it's pretty cool the way it does work. The resources also works very, very well, where we can start. There'll be certain things that will then highlight. This will then turn itself on, the resource flow auto-enabled, but technically it's still turned off. I'll leave that one on, but if we go to, for example, Zentabia fluid back in through this side, we should be seeing this highlight, particularly if we then go and pick up the luxury goods and actually then go to Zentabia fluid. Where is it? Is it down the bottom here? It's not actually. I'll just do it by price, because that'll then sit at the top. So Zentabia fluid, we know that there's one source, and it should highlight in here, but it doesn't seem to do it. None of these are actually really sort of highlighting. Yes, we're not getting any of the three bigs, but I know that it's there. So it's a shame that that's not working. I don't know why it's not working. Like even if I go into the system, will it work? If I go to Loris fruit, no, it's not. Sorry, the Zentabia fluid. No, it's not highlighting. It should highlight. I don't know why it's not, but anyway, it's not. So but if I go back into here, for example, like one of the things we're going to be wanting to look at would be Caslon. Like if we click on Caslon, these are all the Caslon centers around the galaxy. So there's a fair few that we can sort of then go and start to build mining stations at. We can have a look at the mining locations as well for different things. These are all the different Caslon mining stations that we have. We've got a lot of them. The new mining locations, we could actually go and pick various areas up as well for different sorts of mining things. This is for all resources, but I could go, okay, look, I really just want, I mentioned Caprica before. These are all the Caprica locations. I wonder if this one will show that. I don't think it will, but no, it seems to only be doing stuff that's either in my territory or not in anybody else's territory. Yeah, anyway, I'll leave that one where that is. I'll just go back to all resources. It's very, very good the way it does work. Just things, it highlights whatever you'd sort of need to be looking at. So anyway, I thought I'd just show that. We've gone over time actually, just going through the user interface. Very, very good the way it does work. I'm just going to go and turn that one off, just so we don't have to see it. And yeah, it's, of course, you then got things like the tourism flow. We can sort of start to see, you know, what races, like if we have a look and see where our guys are being moved around, for example, the Mortallans, we can then sort of see that we do actually have a flow coming from there back to the capital, which is interesting. I thought it'd be the other way around, but anyway, that's where the flow goes. I'll just turn that one off. Actually, for all races, I wonder what that would show. Yeah, still only really, it's only those two races that or our race that we're really only concerned about. Migration flow is going to be, again, for that's tourism. Oh, of course, that's tourism coming in to actually view the special sites at that particular location. But if we go to all races here, yeah, this is what I expected. This was the actual migration. Our guys are leaving the homeworld to go and settle the new colonies. And so that's what we're sort of seeing in through there. Just turn them off. And then we finally just have, as I say, the resource flow that we've seen there before. We can see the diplomatic relations as well, and just turn that on or off. It's the same sort of thing that we saw there when we clicked on diplomacy up through here. It's a bit of a sort of a quick way of seeing things. Anyway, that's pretty much the user interface. It's very, very detailed. It's got a lot in it. I mean, we've only been scratching the surface of different things, but it's really, really cool the way it does work. I can't think of another game that does it like in this much depth. This is there's just so much in this, and it certainly is easier than Distant Worlds Universe or Distant Worlds 1. You know, with the way because Distant Worlds 1 and Distant Worlds Universe became a bit of a hodgepodge of all sorts of different ideas, but now they've been able to go, okay, if we started again, what could we do differently to make it much, much more simple? And what they've ended up with is something that's does a lot more, but a lot more logically. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next episode.